Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of DoubleBit's Workshop. So in today's episode, I'm going to be building a small garage for my 3 scooters. I currently have 3. 2 of them, sadly, are not working. But luckily, my brother is helping me out to get those up and running here soon. So I'm trying to have a nice place to store them all that isn't just underneath tarps. The tarps and different types of coverings that I've purchased from Amazon have sadly wore through this last winter. So I figured having an actual covered kind of garage style for them would be a lot better. So for right now, preliminarily, I'm going to be laying down pallets and building a full structure out of said pallets to house them, and with the future intent of actually putting power to it so I have lights for some of those evenings and nights that I want to have something to work on out here, or just this area of the house gets shaded quite easily. As you can tell right now, it's in the middle of the day and there is a bit of shadow over here. We're not quite into summer yet, but even still throughout the summer this gets a little bit of more harsh sun, but still right about noon it'll start being a lot more in the shade, so having that ability to have light readily available will be a nice benefit down the road. But for right now, I'm going to try to build a freestanding structure that's going to be up against my house. It's going to have its own roof that comes down. I'm going to let the water shed out the front, so that way I'm not putting more water against the foundation of my house, and I'm not trying to angle it into my backyard. So this is kind of that no man's land in between area that's kind of a catch-all, as you can probably tell. So I'm going to clean up all the scrap steel and random bits and bobs that I have laying around here, including a outdoor circulation fan that I had for when I was welding a little bit more. And we're just going to clean the space up, and then I'm going to lay down my pallets, kind of get a few things in general layout, mount them up together, and start throwing together a frame. So let's get to it. Alrighty, so we have the floor and the walls down. Turned out pretty good so far. So the next step is to get the tar paper, which I have back here. We're going to take that tar paper, we're going to wrap the bottom, staple it up with the air stapler, then we're going to go middle and top, or we'll do bottom and top depending. I think that might be just big enough to overlap. As long as we have a little overlap, we're good. That way if any water gets through the boards that I'll mount on the outside, it can shed off of the asphalt paper. And I'm going to do these two sides first, because then I can scoot it against the wall. I can still mount and do everything I need to for the roof, but then that way it's a little less heavy getting it in position versus having a completed structure I tried to heft into position. So that's why I made sure to get these two walls pretty much done, and then I'm going to skin them so they're pretty much 100%, and then throw it against the wall. Sadly, again, won't see this at all, but I know it'll be protected, and that's what we want. Then we'll do that outside wall and the roof, and then we'll finish with this opener or the door right here on this end. Alright, we're going to do a bit of an update here for you. So this whole shrapnel and mess is all the boards that I pulled the nails from earlier. These are the boards I trimmed the ends from, just kind of running quick. Mess of scrap steel that I need to take care of. And where we are sitting right now. So it was windy as all get out, and I really didn't want the camera falling over and getting hurt again, because last time I almost didn't think it was going to work afterwards. So this is where we're at. So I have my asphalt felt underneath, and I've just been doing good old pallet board style here. Gonna walk down here a little bit, shimmy on over, and you can kind of see over here as well. I've opted to just do a center seam. Reason being is the center seam will actually line up right over here. So the boards are going to overlap this joint, which is still pretty strong. No real issues or problems there so far. So onward with the time lapse. Just a quick little update. I'm gonna see if I can put some more asphalt felt around the top and then just bring all the boards up. Use up the pile at least that I got going. Alrighty, time for an update. So the backside is completely done. Narrow space because now I'm going to be scooching this in. So kind of turn the corner here. And then we've got all of this. Kind of hard to see. I'm against the wall. Yep. Now, there's the roof will be put on at the end. And I'm going to allow this to kind of overlap and cover. And then that way I don't have to worry about this seam. And I'm going to put an edge cap on it once it's against here, since I can get over the backyard fence. But the roof will mount into the 2x4s on top here, and that will be once this is against the building at its final resting spot. So now we're tasked with moving this before it gets too much heavier. Fun, fun. And there you have it. I am super stoked and excited to have my new Shed Mark III. You could end up calling it the scooter garage. It'll fit my needs perfectly. It's just ever so lightly a little bit longer than the fence, or width-wise, just past it, about yay so. And the height requirements that I needed was to be taller than my head, something I could still touch the roof on so it's not overly ginormous, because that's not necessary, and have the ability to lock it and have it 100% weatherproof from rain and snow year-round, because I'm just so darn tired of having my scooter's covers torn to shreds year after year. So this is a nice permanent solution, and let's take a look at it. So as we walk up to it, there's a little bit of pressure, so if I push in on it, a little bit here, so the paper on the inside here is just tensioned between the top 2x4 and the bottom 2x4, rather stringer that I have. That's on both sides. And there is a little bowing, but everything's nice and taut. Eventually what I might do is go through with a staple gun and kind of tighten that up a little bit. But for right now, I just wanted to have a functioning storage for them. Everything is reclaim or scrap off of job sites or pallets. So some of these materials were going to be thrown away, so they were scavenged. That's why they're all kind of irregular. These shelves in the back here are actually a great find. Those I got from a local grocery store that had them in the back alley, so when I was doing my deliveries for my job, I'd seen them back there for about 2-3 weeks, and I asked them, I was like, hey, are you getting rid of those or throwing them away? They called the manager, and the manager was like, yes, please, we've been trying to get rid of those forever. So that's actual wood, and if memory serves me correctly, that is beetle kill pine from Colorado, which is awesome. So there was a whole bunch of beetle kill pine. If you're local to the area, you know what it is. And it was one of the great outsources that they had to some of the local markets. They used all the lumber to create all of these awesome shelves and such. The backboards, of course, are just normal pegboard, nothing crazy there, but the actual wood components are actual wood, which is nice. And those are actually steel brackets. Those aren't like painted plastic or nothing. As for the walls, I was originally thinking about putting some kind of skirting on the bottom here, since I do have some crate left over. The plywood I was using for the roof on each of these sections here and in the little tie-in sections right here, those are all from crates that one of the local businesses as well that I was delivering to was tearing these crates apart and then just leaving them outside. So I asked very nicely, is it all right if I take those off your hands? And they were more than happy for that, because they're gonna have to pay to get rid of them. Other than that, I've got the asphalt felt. I kind of tacked in some little pieces of that same plywood in and throughout. There are some minor light gaps, but like I said, this is to keep all of those kind of weather out. Eventually, if I really wanted to, I can do probably 1 can of expanding foam in each of those openings just to seal this up a little bit more tight for critters. And that would cost me probably to do the top and bottom around this perimeter, probably 2 cans. So we're looking around like 12, 15-ish bucks, at least for what they cost around here. And yeah, the footprint works perfectly for 2 scooters. So taking a quick measurement here, it is exactly from the very front here all the way to the back for usable space is 8 foot. From the side to side is just over 5 foot, so 5 foot ½ inch. You can see the little connections I did here to extend those 2x4s to make the doors work a little better. And yes, all of the sides match. So the front are the only obscurities, otherwise this side around the back here and on the side you can't quite see, all match. And I ended up having to cover this side because I accidentally messed up on my dimension. So when I did this back panel and the other one, tucked this against the wall, I forgot about this part, which is this whole wall, and this is the end of it. So I just kind of tacked on some pieces all the way down, and that worked out perfectly to match up. Then you can see the little kind of faucet here, or that little kind of hole covering, and that's the only parts that you kind of see a little bit of the light gap in there. And then that plywood I cut at an angle and put up underneath. There's a little 2x4 ledge that runs the top of the door. Everything's all nice and neat, so there aren't any issues. You'll see kind of these little corners here. That's just where the 2x4s run down to the base, but there is nice seal in there, and like I said, I'll probably do expanding foam to kind of finish that off. And the step was, I believe it was 48 degrees on the cut, so I went a little past the 45 to max out, which I believe is 48 degrees is what my miter saw maxes out at, and that gave me that angle for the ramp for these scooters to go up and down. A little bit more of a close-up here. So this is level, so the tire should just roll right up that. A little bit of a steep incline, but not too bad. I've ramped up worse, so that should be perfect for getting the scooters in and out each morning and each evening. So the roof is pretty much 100% complete as well. That was one of the things I forgot to make note on. There is a slight part that goes along the back that I was going to be putting on some aluminum, so that way it kind of bridges the two together. Right now the roof is so tight against the house that the actual awning over the top is overhanging about 1.5 feet. So right now there's no real common issue or need of it, but I do have some aluminum that I will be putting up there to kind of bridge the gap and create a little bit more of a flow pattern for when we hit the snow season. So just kind of a little recap on that part as well, since I forgot to touch on it. Thank you all so very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you don't mind, that also helps out greatly. If you want notifications each and every time a video is uploaded, please hit the notification bell. It'll give you a notification each and every time a video is uploaded to the channel. Thank you all so very much, and have yourself a wonderful evening.